of how I created my piece. Let's first look at a video by William Kendrick. He's the artist that has inspired me. So what I did, as I shared in my previous video, I collaborated with Miss Willis. I wrote notes of what I wanted to focus on after seeing her videos, after listening to her text. And now I've decided I want to make an animation in the style of Kendrick. So I'm going to share with you how he does that. So what he does is he takes a piece of paper and he puts it on the wall. And then he draws a picture in charcoal. He has his camera about 10 feet away from his picture on a tripod. He uses a little button, a shutter release button, to take a picture of his drawing. Then he goes up to the picture on the wall and he does a little erasing, a little tiny bit of drawing. And he goes back and shoots his little button, his shutter release, and takes another photo. He does that for 30, 50, 100, or more photos, depending on how long his video, his animation is. I don't have a tripod, so I wasn't not here at home, and I don't have any charcoal. I did use some charcoal briquette, but I did mine a little differently, and I'll share that with you later. But let's see what Kendrick says about his process.
And I suppose it became a way of thinking rather than a physical medium for me.
So lots of different options. I would look up Kendrick. So this is Mrs. Willis's work, and for some reason I can't open the video right now, but you can see the image. So this image is what inspired my piece in the beginning, and the movement and the gesture. So I watched the video, I saw especially how her hands and her body move. So I just did 3 or 4 movements because it takes a long time to do an animation. And I thought I'll just focus on small bits. I also listened to her text. We talked about that last time. Now I'm going to share with you what I created. Okay. Okay, so you see this is the original drawing, and I put a mask on the person's face because in my piece I use the mask as a sign of lockdown. We use the cord, both of us had the idea of string, she's got the cord, and what I've done is a short animation I'll share with you. I'm using some language you see because she talks about communication. The birds are in my piece, but they also represent the idea of friendship. And here I am, the chords are around me, I'm writing, am I writing a letter, am I doing something with communication? These are words from her original text, the idea of the telephone and a cell phone, and little things she says in her text. And then this empty frame with just a black line represents the idea of conversations that are impersonal with masses of people. Okay, or that loneliness picture could be a landscape, you would choose that, custom. These are still pictures. For an animation, you're going to use HDTV. I'm going to hit create, sorry. So when you first have your screen, it looks like this. You have to go to Window, go down to Timeline, and click on Timeline. That's giving you this little timeline for your animation screens. If this bar down here does not say create animation, and it says video, switch it to animation, please. Then you're going to double click there, and look, it gives you your first frame. If you've never used Photoshop, one thing to know is down here in the right-hand corner, these are called layers, and I'll be discussing layers as we go through this. So what I have over here on my desktop is a selection of photos, okay? Pictures of a drawing I did. Okay, see the pictures. And I've dragged them into Photoshop, so they're up here on my menu. Okay, so I'm going to go to my very first picture in the sequence, 6566. I'm going to drag that away. I'm going to go back up here to Untitled 2 because that's the piece we're working on. And then I'm going to take this piece that I just dragged out here, and I'm going to pull it into my frame. Now it's bigger. Okay, so I need to hit Command T and use my cursor and my pad, and I'm just going to pull it until it shrinks down. And then I want to fit it on my screen. Okay, now I might want it bigger. Okay, so let's say I go bigger, so it just envelopes the screen. I can do that. After that, I go up here to my menu and I click on the arrows. Okay, I actually chose the wrong photo, but we'll just keep working. Okay, so now I need to say, what am I going to do with this? Is it good enough the way it is, or am I going to draw on it? Over here, I have my arrow key, my paintbrush, sorry. I'm going to take, I've got the color gray selected down here. I'm going to add some drawing on this, and that's something you can do too. You might draw a picture and then use Photoshop to add to it. If, because there's a lot going on with communication, I could use the text. So here's the letter T. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to come over here and draw a little text box. And I'm going to write communicate. Oops. Okay. Communicate. Because that's maybe a word I don't think I would use, but it's a word that maybe I feel is something that needs to be here. Okay, if I want to change the color, I go back to my T, I select it, come down here in the bottom left-hand corner, here are my colors. I can click on the gray twice, and it gives me a selection of colors, anything I want to use. Okay, I think I might use red because it's a strong color, and go up to my arrow, and maybe that's a word I really want. That's just my first slide. If I want to do some more painted lines, I go to my paintbrush. Maybe I want some white. Click on white. Okay, and over here, this is a key part. Down here in the bottom left-hand corner, I'm going back to layer. I need to be on layer if I'm going to do some drawing with my paintbrush. So white, I'm going to do some extra lines maybe. In my original piece, I emphasized the face mask with some white, okay? And then I'm going to go to my arrow key. Now, I kind of feel like my picture has a bit of a shadow. It might be my photographing. Maybe I wasn't able to have a lot of light in my room. I'm going to go up to image. I can go to auto. If I hit auto tone, it lightens it. But I can also go adjustments and brightness. Just drag it to make it a little bit brighter. If you do that, you need to really understand how you're going to do the exact same thing in every single picture that you bring in, right? Okay, so every slide. So now I've got my first slide done. I feel like I've got enough going on. I've drawn, painted into it. You could do that too. Like I said, maybe you do a simple drawing, something that comes or resonates with you when you're looking at the other person's work, and you do that drawing, and then you can add more in Photoshop. Okay, I'm going down to the bottom toolbar where I'm circling. This little piece of folded paper, I click on that, and it gives me slide number 2. And you'll see that over here where it says frame 2 in the layers. Now, for layer 2, you have 2 choices. You can go to your next picture, or you can continue drawing on the same picture. I'm going to go to my next picture, okay? Like I said, I don't think mine were in complete order. I'm just going to try my best. I'm going to drag that over here, okay? So you see where I'm here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace that picture by dragging this on top. Okay. Now, how will I know when it's the right size? How will I know if I hit Command T? Okay, if I hit Command T and I drag it, how do I know that this piece is exactly in the same spot? What I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to layers. You'll see the word opacity. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to make it transparent or see-through. That's going to allow me to position it over my last drawing. You'll see it's still too big because my shirt does not fit exactly. So I'm going to shrink it down a little bit more. And I'm going to lay it over that. Shrink it a little bit more. The shirt may have moved because in my second drawing I did do some erasing. So look at that. I'm in a great position. There's a little bit of movement. You can also leave it transparent if you like that kind of shake, and I did that in one of my pieces. Or I go back to opacity and I make it dark. So now I'll go back to arrow. I have 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, it looks like it's still a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go back to opacity. It's not much bigger, but I do want to shrink it down a little bit. Okay, there we go, much, much better. Okay, so I'm going to hit my arrow key over here. And I'm going to all the way to opacity. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I need to brighten it to the same brightness as the last piece. Okay, and I can do like I said before, I can bring this here and try to get it as close as possible. Yeah, that's good. And then I need to line that up again. Okay, I love the opacity button. It just makes all the difference. I forgot to add, if I'm here at opacity, I see where my white and gray lines are. So, since I'm painting on layer 2, I need to know where that white line is to know if I'm going to make it go this way a little bit longer, but also to make sure that it's in the same spot. If I start drawing lines all over the place, they have nothing to do with the other line, it can look a little bit odd. So I am just going to add some extra lines, make the ones that already exist, maybe move a little bit to the left or right, have a little bit of movement, do my best. I think you get the idea. Okay, so I'm going to go back to opacity, make it 100, and there's my line. So I'm going to show you between the two frames. Those lines that existed before. I forgot the lines on the mask, so I'm going to go back to opacity. Okay, I want to use the color white. I'm going to do the lines on the mask again. I'm not going to do them exactly in the same spot. And the reason is similar to William Kendrick. He makes it dynamic and there's movement and it's really good. So keeping them static, not so interesting. Okay, so 1, 2. Okay, so I'm going to now go up. I'm going to, select another slide. I'm going to go up here to my third picture and I'm going to drag that over here. I am going to double check that, yep, I'm on my third slide. Okay, and I'm going to drag that over. Again, I'm going to hit Command T using my pad and my finger. I'm going to shrink this down. Okay, while I'm here, I might as well change the color of the paper. So I'll go to Auto Tone because that was what I did first. And then I'll go to Adjustment, Brightness. I'm going to change the color of the paper and try to get it exactly the same or close to it. Usually this happens really well in a studio with William Kendrick. He's got his tripod. He's got everything lined up. For me, I needed natural light and I was outside and that light changed a little bit. So you just do your best when you're on quarantine, right? Okay, so again, I have to go to opacity because I can't line this picture up if I'm not sure the size or the place it needs to be lined up. Now my picture looks bigger. The reason I know that is I'm looking at the t-shirt. This shirt is shorter than mine. So I'm going to drag it to the corner a little bit so I can see the corner here. Okay, hit Command T, drag it just a little bit. Because I'm still in opacity, I can see if I'm getting close. I need just a little bit shorter. And that looks good. Go back to opacity. Oh no, I don't go back yet. Sorry, I'm still doing my gray, my white lines. So I go to my paintbrush. I'm on white. I'm going to make this line come up. I'm going to make this line come this way a little bit more. This line goes this way. I'll do lines inside my mask again. Okay, I'll switch to gray. Make my movement happening. Now, if I want to add more words, I can go to text. And she said the word LOL. So LOL might be a new word. I might want to switch the color. So I highlight it. I go down here to the bottom left-hand corner of my colors. I'm going to switch to blue, let's say. Okay. Back to my arrow to click off of that. I'm going to move this. All these words, by the way, are from different languages. I've got Chinese, and I've got Finnish, and I've got English, and I've got Zulu. So I've tried to really think about communication in the country I'm living in. You'll see the orange line in opacity is moving. It's because it's getting longer. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to click on, I want to make sure I click on my picture. Opacity goes back to 100. I'm going to share with you a quick step also. Once you have all your frames, you're going to select them all. Hold down your Shift key and select, and then you collect how many seconds you want them to appear. It can be very fast or it can be very slow. I'll show you the difference. If we do 1 second, because I selected them all, they all turn to 1 second. That's 1 second. For some people, that might be too fast. So I'm going to select them all again. I'm going to go to 2 seconds, see if that makes a difference. I do like that. You could go even slower, but the slower you go, the movement will change drastically. Let's go to 0.5. But if time is going slow under lockdown, 5 might be good. I think for me, 2 seconds was good, but we'll show you one more time with 1. So you get the idea. Okay? And again, to just continue your steps, I'm going to click here. I get the next frame. I pull down the next picture. I'm just going to pull